At the top right here, there are 4 options. And as I mentioned, unfortunately, this last option, Google Earth, which is actually the nicest one, doesn't work on Apple computers, only on Windows computers. And that is because Google only made that plugin that makes it possible that this shows here. It only works for Windows PCs. That's something, I don't know what the rationale behind it is, but that's the way it is. There's nothing we can change about that. So you can click on map here, which doesn't really do much because there are not too many roads here, obviously, but you can see here still on the map our access road and then the main roads on here. If you click on satellite, obviously you get the satellite picture. If you click on hybrid, you get both overlaid on each other. So you get the map and the satellite picture. Now the interesting one is Earth, so let me click on that. And the first time you do that, if you haven't done that before, you will probably get a message asking you to install a little program from Google. That is perfectly safe. That's not going to mess with your computer. There's no spyware in that. That is just because there is some additional software needed to run the Google Earth application in here. So you will need to install that program. It's just a very small program. It goes quite automatic. And then you have to restart your browser, and then that should work the next time you click on Earth. Now you see here there are some changes in the controls that have been made as opposed to the other one, and that's because there are more options. This one here is actually, I think, quite intuitive. It's zooming in and zooming out. And one difference you see immediately, it's a smooth zooming in and out. It's not just like you're either far away or a lot closer. It's just, see, you can just zoom in by small amounts rather than just in large steps. The one above that is actually, you can move in any direction that you want. If you move your mouse on this little dial here and then press the mouse button, then it will move in that direction. And you can basically move in any direction. See, if I move this a little bit to the right, it starts going right. And see, you can basically move it in any direction. If you get it closer to the center, it moves fast. If you go further away, it moves slower. So that's actually quite a nice control. You see, you can just a little bit further. Now it goes a lot faster, slower again, a little bit up. I'll stop this now because I don't want anybody to get motion sickness. The other option, of course, that you can do is you put your mouse anywhere, you keep the mouse key clicked in, and then you just move your mouse around, and then actually you can drag your map wherever you want to. And then the third control in this Google Earth application is the one on the top, which is actually quite a nice one. The first one is, normally if you have maps, you see north is up always. If you put your mouse over there and you hold the left mouse button, and then you move your mouse around, you see actually north changes. So actually you move around, so you can actually look in different directions. So that's one thing that you can do with it. The other thing that you can do with it is, see, if you press on this one, it'll actually change your perspective. Rather than looking straight down, it's more like you're looking. You can see it's looking with a bit of perspective there, which is a nice combination. If you do that from being quite zoomed in, let me just go back a little bit. And especially if you have in areas with lots of mountain ranges and a lot of perspective, it's actually quite nice to do it like that. You get actually quite a more like a three-dimensional view almost, which actually helps you in visualizing exactly how aware it is. Now, for instance, what I've done here, it takes a little bit of practice to do this. Let me just turn it back again, like that. See, this is the quarantine area here. And if you look at it like that, you get a better feel for how big or how small it is or how extensive it is, because it's closer actually to how humans normally see things. We don't look things flat from the top, we look at things from the side. So if you see here, this is the boundary of quarantine here. This is the little road that goes by Ingiskaya here. So if you would go further here, you'll find Yuri's house here. The lodge is here. Here's the water. So you get actually a much more three-dimensional view on that, and that's one of the things I really like about the Google Earth plugin. Just go back up. Zoom out a little bit. So here you can get an overview about distances, but it's yeah, and I guess everybody will have their own preferences for that. But yeah, I'm not going to spend too much more time on that now. There were some questions for people how those controls work. So I hope actually that this actually makes it a little bit more clear. And of course, you can always switch back to your regular satellite view if you like that. So yeah, that was just about Google Earth. So back to number 1. Yeah. Let me just see. There's some zebra at the waterhole I see. So I just want to quickly mention a couple more books. I'm not going to show you too much detail anyway, because most of the field guides actually have the same setup. They have distribution lists in there, so you can see where animals or plants actually do occur. They'll have a scientific name and a little bit of a description for identification of the animals in there. And but I'll just show you a couple of other ones that I use for different animal groups, families. There's one I use, it's for reptiles. It's called the Field Guide to Snakes and Other Reptiles of Southern Africa, written by, amongst others, Bill Branch. And one of the actually nice things I like about this is that it doesn't just have pictures and distribution maps in it, but especially in the beginning it also gives quite some background about actually the different species, different types of reptiles, and how they use the measurements, and what the different parts of the bodies are called. So actually quite a nice amount of background reading in this one as well. There's another one. There's a couple of them for that have been published for, I would say, less popular groups of animals, but I like to read them. And they have also, the nice thing about this, there's really a lot of background information in it, which is especially for those animal groups quite interesting, because typically we tend to know less about them, even about how to find them, how to treat them. This one for frogs, for instance, it's called Frogs and Frogging in Southern Africa. Even has a little CD with for all the frogs, all the calls that you can hear. So you can, if you hear a frog call, you can actually try to find out by comparing that to the one on the CD what kind of species it is. Scorpions. This one, some of you might have already seen it in one of the previous episodes I did. Again, it's called Scorpions of Southern Africa by Jonathan Leeming. But as I said, I'll put all the names of the books up later. And again, it has lots of information before it even starts identifying about the buildup of scorpions, special characteristics of scorpions, how they live, how they survive. So it's quite interesting. Also, if you want to rather than just identify them, learn a little bit more about them. And of course, as with scorpions, and also a similar one about spiders, there's the same thing. It also has some safety information in there, because although most of them definitely are not lethal, you always have to be careful with handling them for the animal's sake, but also for your own interest. And then, actually, the last guide I'd like to show is a field guide to insects of South Africa, not Southern Africa in this case. This is quite a little bit of a thick one, but of course that's obvious because there's so many insect species, and even in this one it often doesn't cover all the individual species, because then the book would have to probably be 10 times as thick. But it shows you all the main families and genuses of insects, with some distribution lists again, common names if they exist. For some insects only the scientific names. This one is sometimes a bit tricky to find an insect, because there's sometimes, typically what I have to do is just go through it, especially if it's from a family of insects that you don't really recognize, and you must just actually go through it for a little while until your eye catches the right one. But still, quite interesting information. And then 2 books at the end actually that are a little bit different. This is called Wild Ways, and that's a field guide as well, but it's more focused on behavior, not so much as identifying the species.